Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast that charts the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John Campbell. How do you feel now knowing, at long last, the true story of Frankenstein?
I mean, I feel good that I know it, but I wasn't happy with what it ended up being. But there is a satisfaction of, now I know what really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary Shelley got it totally wrong.
Totally wrong.
What a hack, that Mary Shelley.
But oddly, Universal Pictures got some of it right.
They got the original notes. They got that bound volume of the diaries of Dr. Frankenstein.
They did, yeah, which is nice to know that there were, about 5 or 6 of those copies of that running around in the Universal Universe, I think.
And even if you were a cousin or like the grandson,
he mailed it out to every relative of his, clearly, in the Universal world. So
what not a lot of people know is that back in the 18th century of Austria, a lot of people were into scrapbooking. And so, Dr. Frankenstein, just like everybody else, made sure that his family had plenty of copies of his patched together notes of how to build
I'm just so proud of what I've done here. I need to, very much not the take on the character I've seen in other things, but
I want to make sure that no one follows my instructions. So to do that, I will include them in this book, and with the warning, don't do any of this. But I put that on the last page.
Don't you do it.
Now that you've read how to do it.
Don't you do it.
Don't do it.
Yes.
Though I like how even this, while we're joking about something that doesn't actually occur in this movie.
No.
There are no bound copies of Frankenstein's notes.
No, though oddly, the previously on. Did you get a previously on in the version you watched?
Yes.
That is him taking notes of what happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Of him going, this all started with the death of my brother.
Yeah,
because we don't have to do a lot of lead-in this week because it's just part 2 of what we were talking about last week.
What I love is the scene of the death of his brother was so brief, even in the original, that they just showed that scene again
in its entirety in the previous.
Hi, Victor! I'm in a boat. Oh no!
By the way,
drowning.
He's
dead.
It's like a 5-minute previously on. It takes its time, really wanting to make sure you didn't forget a second of this from last week.
Yeah. Was it week or was it night to night? They did that a lot in the 70s.
That's a good question. I don't actually. Let me see if this has that information on here.
I don't think a lot of these that were broken up.
Ooh, interesting. It aired two nights apart, November 28th and November 30th, 1973.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
good.
There was an episode of Mannix we just couldn't not run.
In this one, he saves Barbara Bain from a blackmailer.
I would much rather have watched a Mannix than this.
You know what? Me too. I love a Mike Touch Connors appearance.
Oh, God. Do I ever? I do, actually. And I believe I mentioned before that I do have every season of Mannix on DVD.
I just love the shift from it being a quasi-sci-fi show to, just a TV detective.
The hard shift. I remember getting the first season of it and having just watched, smatterings of episodes on Nick at Night and TV Land as a kid and going like, finally, I can watch it like episode. And I was
what is this computer nonsense?
What the hell is this show? I'm like, Mannix seems about the same, but where's Peggy and where's the PI show that I liked?
They needed to.
Let's just say I don't pull out that first season set a lot. I pretty much jump right to season 2 when I
only watch
Mannix.
season 1.
If Joseph Campanella is not his boss, then I am not watching Mannix.
You know what this TV movie could have used? Some Joseph Campanella. We didn't get him.
No, we do.
This actually is an amazing cast.
This one, I will say, it's still bad, but part 2 is a little bit better.
A little bit better.
And some of that has to do with the inclusion of some better actors that join in.
When you look at a cast list where you have James Mason,
Mason, and much more James Mason in part 2.
Oh my God! Suddenly he becomes the central character. But
when this ends, the first thing that comes up is it says starring James Mason.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you're damn right.
But you also have two sirs in there. You got Sir Ralph Richardson and you have Sir John Gielgud.
Gielgud's totally fucking wasted in this. They both
totally
are actually.
Wasted.
That's right. They both are. At least.
And by totally wasted, they are drunk off their ass, just like Mr. Mason.
Oh, I bet Mason was happy when they were on set, going like, "Yes, well, I'll hit the bars after the shoot tonight." Isn't that right?
It occurs to me that we're all still sober, and I think we can fix that immediately.
Oh my God! When Ralph Richardson showed up, I was like, "Oh, good."
And he shows up pretty much instantaneously because our boy, the creature, still with no name.
Yeah. You want to talk about who's not in part 2 a lot? Dr. Frankenstein.
He's really not.
Takes a while to get back to him.
One of my big problems with this true story,
lest we forget that bit continues. Are we ever going to get Dracula, the true story, or Wolfman, the true story?
We don't get those, and that's a shame.
And it's weird because Dracula actually does have a true story you could tell if you wanted to.
Well, I will say that both of the ones that we have coming up, both the Jack Palance and the Louis Jourdain,
Dracula.
both of them, though they don't have that tagline of like the true story, both of them are them saying, this is a reimagining. This is a new take.
Yeah.
So they both have a different slant on the same old.
I have never seen either one of those. I am dreading the Jack Palance one and excited to see Louis Jourdain do it.
I might flip that.
Really? Because I think Palance is such a horrible choice.
He's a horrible choice,
but I think Louis Jourdain, I can kind of see it.
If my memory serves, I haven't seen these as kid. The Palance one, he is terribly cast, but the take on the story is pretty great.
Okay.
The Louis Jourdain one
Curtis.
is a little slow like this one.
Yeah. And
it is very genteel.
Well,
this is what I remember.
BBC, I believe. So.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of boring
and
I remember.
As much as I just think Louis Jourdain, I can kind of see him as Dracula.
Well, he's very courtly, and that's the whole thing. They lean heavily into him being this.
We like gentleman
vampire.
We like the gentleman vampire.
We do.
It's the one it's one I've avoided because I'm just like, I don't need that in my life.
Well, not a lot of people know that Vlad the Impaler, before he became a vampire, was also an amateur boxer who got the shit beat out of him a lot.
I thought you were gonna say a cowhand or a gunslinger. You know,
well,
I think of Jack Palance as belonging in the West in a lot of. I think of him from Shane. You know.
Well, I always think of him from Requiem for a Heavyweight, which was the TV movie that kind of made his name. And the reason he got cast was the guy actually did box. That's why he has that face, which is a great villain face, but not a vampire face.
Being who I am, the first thing I think of is, of course, Carl Grissom from Batman. But
Jack,
you
my number one guy.
Yeah. Him rubbing his shoulders. Oh, so good. We'll talk about Palance a lot when we get to that.
We're not there yet.
First, we're dealing with much like James Mason does through this movie.
Well, what I was saying was the thing that really pissed me off about this take on the story is how Dr. Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein, has been sublimated.
Oh God!
Like he wasn't the originator of this no,
that was
way to bring
Ilya Kuryakin did it.
That was Henry Clavell and Polidori together at university.
I heard Napoleon Solo had notes on it too.
Yeah, and so he's innocent of that. He's really not. He just works for people. Like in this second half, he ends up just being the surgeon for the Polidori.
And when we get to how Polidori does this, I mean, it's just, when you talk about this being a true story, it's just magic, is it not? Like,
pretty much.
It's basically magic that we're using in this
I love the way he continues, Polidori, in the second half to mock the whole solar energy thing.
Yeah.
It's like he's like going, I don't know about your. Don't you need some sunlight for your solar power?
Anyway, magic powders, here they come.
No, it's like, okay, he's mocking something that actually is real science, even though it certainly can't bring the dead back to life. But then he goes on to go, I've got the real idea, and involves lots of dyes. Putting dyes in a lot of bubbling, a big bubbling tub.
I watched that whole sequence with just eyes wide and mouth agape, like, what? What is going on? This, I will say, the second part of this feels like it was written by somebody else than the first part. Because this second part, the first part is really boring. The second part is still pretty boring, but has some just crazy shit in it.
Yeah, some crazy bad shit.
The way this thing wraps up. I also love when all of a sudden James Mason's also, not only does he despise the use of electricity, he's actively afraid of it.
Oh, we're not there yet. I'm holding off on that. I'm holding off on that.
Oh, that's just a tease for later, folks.
That's a tease for later.
My God.
That tank of liquids that ends up looking like multi-layered Jell-O, oddly enough, I know this is 1973, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show was 75, 76.
Yeah, got to be in there.
So it'd be really close. But I swear to God, when you look at the tank that Frankenfurter creates Rocky in, they do a similar thing where it's multi-layers of rainbow-colored liquid. I think it must have been like a weird tribute to this. It's like,
really
is it dumb to think that? But I'm like, that I've never seen another Frankenstein movie where it's a big tub of multicolored liquid. It's like a spirograph.
Since you mentioned Rocky Horror Picture, I'll just share one of my favorite moments from a Comic-Con, because I don't think we'll ever get around to talking about this guy. I saw Barry Bostwick at a Comic-Con, and I just walked by his table. No one was at the table, and he was yelling at his manager on the phone. And I just love moments like that where I don't even know what it was about, but he's like, God damn it, it was supposed to be here. Listen to me. Like, I can't. And it was a lot of like, I'm just tired of this shit.
I just watched the episode of Psych, which I just started.
Brilliant show. A hilarious show.
It's very entertaining. The mysteries are real light, but
it's a comedy show that has mysteries in it. And that's the thing that,
But I just watched their knockoff Comic-Con-esque episode from the first season with a character named Malcolm Brayfogle is missing. And anyway, and there's the thing with George Takei as a special guest.
Yeah.
And yes, the whole thing is they end up pretending that they were supposed to be his handlers, and it's all about, these are not the Montana blueberries I requested.
I pretty much saw that moment from Barry Bostwick, and then of course when I walked by again, he was signing multiple pairs of white briefs.
Yes, of course.
That apparently is a popular thing to have him sign.
That's why I would have loved to slip it, to make his day a little off kilter. He's expecting that. Yeah. He's maybe expecting a couple people to have Megaforce stuff.
Yeah.
But I would be the guy bringing up, like, I really loved your George Washington miniseries. I actually did. As a kid, I loved that TV miniseries, and he was a good George.
To me, once again, because of my generation, he is the mayor of New York from Spin City.
Yeah. And he was very good at that.
He was very funny on that.
Very funny, yeah.
Very funny. Anyway,
all right, we need to get back to this nonsense.
Aside, just because
I always part 2 opens.
Human moments. Part 2 opens. The monster wakes up on the beach, much like we saw him end up after throwing himself off the cliff.
And he just wanders off.
I do like that Frankenstein saw him throw himself off the cliff, never looked down, never visited that beach later, never was like, maybe I should clean up that body while I'm at it.
Nope.
Just let the sea take it, I guess, was the idea.
Yeah.
So he gets the way Sarrazin plays it. He's just like, all right, off I go. Like,
yeah. He's just sort of like, I'll stroll down the beach.
He just sort of gets up after throwing himself off the cliff. There's no like, damn, I didn't die. It's more just like, well, let's see what's over here.
Yeah.
And what's over there is a blind Ralph Richardson.
Yeah, he ends up in a woods or forest, which means I guess at some point he ascended the cliffs. And he's a forest, and there's blind Ralph Richardson.
Yeah. Doing his best blind guy from Bride of Frankenstein.
Yep.
And look, I know there's a blind guy in the novel, but it's not like this. Exactly.
Well, it's actually kind of similar, but the main thing in the novel is that he really doesn't interact with them much. He's spying on them.
Right.
And he learns to talk by just listening to the young people being taught.
Because he stumbles across a family, and the father of that family is blind.
Yes.
Which this one does in a much more insane way.
Well, he's sitting there, and he's the dog is barking.
The novel does. Yeah, this movie.
Yeah, and the dog's barking. He goes, "What's up, Toby?" He goes, "Is there someone there?" And then I love how trusting the blind guy is, because he just goes, "Well, I'm sure you're a friend."
Yeah.
It's like, shake my hand, friend. And he goes, oh, you're very cold. Well, you should come inside.
This is something I want to get into right now because I have the
okay,
same thought during the Jane Seymour section.
Do it.
Why are they cold?
Because the writer decided that for this version.
But it's like, you can't have them be cold to the touch and then later have them be cut and bleeding.
You are blowing my mind.
That's what pissed me off so much, because I'm like, but they are alive. I understand they're made of dead body parts, but the implication is blood is flowing through them and they're living.
But maybe at a different rate or something,
maybe,
and they're just
but it just confused
few degrees
me,
cold.
Man. But then a few degrees colder, and it's a noticeable like, ooh, chilly.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't have it both ways, man. You can't, and then they need to be paler then, if that's the case, I feel like, too.
I don't know how to assuage this for you, John.
I don't know how to make it. I was infuriated this morning watching this. I really was going like, what? That's never been mentioned in the other movies, and that doesn't make sense.
It's true. No, it's true.
It's
but
just
then again,
the thing where they're just like, they're dead. Do you get it?
Yeah, pretty much.
But also, they're not dead. They're not the dead come to life exactly. I mean, they are, but they are new life.
Yeah.
They're not zombies. Zombies might be cold to the touch.
Yeah, you really got hung up on this.
Well, I thought it here, and it was like, that's kind of odd. Then they make a big point of it with Jane Seymour, while also showing Jane Seymour get scratched by the cat and blood coming out of her hand.
Purple blood.
Yeah. Those two things, though, well, because she's just fucking magic.
She is, man. She's absolutely.
I will say
magic.
the first part of this I was bored by. This one I'm baffled by quite a bit. There's a lot of stuff in it where I'm like, wait, what?
No, I agree. Especially, I love how in a traditional movie structure you talk about. Well, it had some serious Act 3 problems.
Mm-hmm.
This technically has some serious Act 6 problems because this is a two-parter.
Exactly.
The Act 6 of this thing, I'm just sitting there going, I'm okay.
I will say, we've seen countless Frankenstein movies, but when the final act of this thing starts, I'm going, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
Me either.
Not in a good way.
It's terribly constructed and terribly leaning on a lot of just dumb writerly coincidence, and I was really angry.
I can understand why Isherwood denounced this thing.
Oof. But
I can only imagine his hung together better, if not great, better. I'm gonna guess.
I am slightly curious to know what his version was.
Oh, I'm
also
actively trying to track down that script.
I'm also a little too bored of this one to even look and see. It's like, you know what? I don't think I have the energy.
I was trying to find somebody who was comparing them.
Or that'd be good.
That's
or
what
I mean,
if
someone
someone
just...
and all I can find is stuff that's missing. There's a prologue and an epilogue that are missing. And that's about all I can find. You really cannot find this book though.
I wonder if someone has scanned it as a PDF that you could find somewhere.
Yeah,
but
don't worry. I'm on the hunt.
All right. So essentially, it's the traditional thing of the monster meets the nice old blind guy. The nice old blind guy says, "Oh, you don't really talk, do you?" Well, and I never understand that, because sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes he can be quite eloquent and speak as Henry Clerval, and sometimes he's just like,
yeah,
Victor, beautiful, Victor, beautiful.
I still stand by that. I feel so bad for
Michael Sarrazin.
Michael Sarrazin.
Yeah,
he's
good actor.
He's a good actor, and he is. I mean, whether it's in the script or the direction or both, he is. There is no way to play this character really with any kind of consistency, because it really is. They want him to be whatever the scene requires him to be.
Right. Yeah. He's either charming and childlike, or he's violent, or he's
when he just starts
jealous,
taking people out, it's like, what? Why? Why
you
is
mean
he just murdering?
You mean the scenes where he asks people out on dates? He starts taking people out.
Would you like to
dinner and movie?
Dinner and a movie. Movies don't exist yet, but I still think we can get in.
You want to go to Chili's and then a show?
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. Yeah.
Oh God.
I cannot find anyone because apparently
the product placement of Chili's in this TV movie from the 70s really startling.
Once again, I think ahead of its time. I'm not sure there was a Chili's in 1970.
I think Chili's is probably late 70s. I think it probably came in around 1979
I've got something
or something
new to Google.
All right. So anyway, Ralph Richardson takes him in. And they sit there in the little place, and he plays violin for him. He's like, "Bravo!" And he goes, "Oh, you do talk."
There it is. The company was founded by Larry Levine in Texas in 1975.
Ooh, earlier than I thought.
Dallas, Texas.
And I did know it was Texas.
Oh.
Chili's actually was a thing when I was there in the 80s. They were like, "Dude, we're going to Chili's," and it was a big deal. Similar to your generation and Applebee's.
Oh.
But anyway.
Are
we going to Applebee's tonight?
I don't think I've ever been in an Applebee's where it wasn't nothing else is open. How about Applebee's? That's the vast majority of any time I've been in an Applebee's. I guess they're open late, so we went to a later movie, and I guess Applebee's is open.
There you go.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sure.
Everybody's fine with it. So yeah.
Is it this or Red Robin? I don't know. Red Robin has those endless steak fries.
Oh, Red Robin. Given a choice, I go Red Robin.
Wait, are they paying you for this? Do we now have a sponsor?
Brought to you by Red Robin.
Today's episode's been brought to you by Red Robin. You can get a burger there and endless steak fries. And an expensive milkshake.
I think we'd be a first because I've never heard a Red Robin ad on a podcast before. So I think we might be. They just really like our show.
You can sit on your Casper mattress in your apartment that's protected by Simply Safe while you're building a website with Squarespace, eating your Red Robin burger and endless steak fries.
We're real innovators in the podcast game because we just do like 8 sponsors.
We mix them all together.
Ad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get all the money. So yeah,
I love bonobos. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, so there is a moment too where he tries to touch the creature's face, and he's like, "No," and I do like Ralph Richards just like, I respect your privacy.
Cool, man. Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm sorry for the intrusion.
Yeah, obviously got a messed up mug, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he goes, I hear isn't this where he goes, I hear the cart coming. That'll be my granddaughter.
Well, no, first we get him. He takes him home and plays the violin for him.
Yeah, no, that's what we already did that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, the face thing was before he took him home.
Oh, right. Then he takes him home, but
after
plays
he's
the violin.
Already been like, don't fucking touch my face. He's like, great, come home with me.
But the monster has a problem with giving people their space because he's literally patting Ralph Richardson on the knee, going, "Bravo, bravo!"
Again. He's like, "Oh,
he goes,
the death of me, but sure thing.
You'll be the death of me. That would be foreshortening, but you don't actually kill me."
No, I know. I don't die in this one. Now, I don't die in this one. Is that right? Yes. No, I don't. All right. I'm fine. I make it. Just the blindness, then. Okay, got it.
And I don't have to work too hard on the blindness. Great. He's not too convincing.
Because it's gonna be half-assed no matter what you say.
It really kind of is.
Yeah.
But
look,
so
it's
then
fucking Frankenstein, the true story. All right. I know what I'm in.
So is this where the cart comes up
yes,
and it goes,
then the cart comes up.
That's my granddaughter, Agatha. And he goes, you'll fall in love with her. Everybody does.
Well, because she's 1973 Jane Seymour.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So what we need to let people know is Jane gets to be 2 characters in this one second half.
Yes.
She's Agatha, who seems to have maybe an Irish accent.
Yeah. And is this a
something like
blonde
that.
wig on her?
Yeah, like a reddish, like a strawberry blonde.
This is the same year as Live and Let Die. I did not realize that. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, that's
all I know is
that's a wild shift in the level that she's working at in the same year.
Yep.
She also does an episode of Orson Welles' Great Mysteries.
Oh, good for Jane.
That's right. These are the greatest mysteries I've ever read.
Absolutely gorgeous. But the whole thing is that when she and her boyfriend start coming in, the monster's like, nope. Yeah. I'm okay with a blind dude, but I don't want...
Because he goes outside to greet them and goes, "Oh, it's wonderful. We have a guest. Why, where'd he go?"
Yeah, the whole thing is he ducked out the kitchen or something, and then they're like, well, that's all right. Maybe he'll come back when we start cooking.
I just wanted the boyfriend to be like, your grandfather's gone crazy. The isolation has driven him nuts.
He had a quote-unquote visitor today.
Yeah, of course you did, Grandpapa. Of course you did.
Was it the queen? Yeah, she was here.
I tell you,
great.
She was right here. We really do.
She wouldn't let me touch her face, though.
We really do need to get him in a home, I think. It's just he shouldn't be living on his own. The blindness wasn't the first clue that we should maybe get somebody to watch him. So yeah, he takes off, but then he makes his way back, and here's where we get a little bit of the Mary Shelley take, because he is watching them through the window,
right,
as they read from the Bible, and they're talking about legion, which almost becomes a thematic thing in this.
Sort of, yeah, sort of.
I mean, I like the idea of I am legion, I am many, or whatever. Yeah. You're right. But as soon as anybody's talking about legion, I'm thinking about X-Men, because I wasn't raised.
I know.
So we talk about David Haller.
It's the famous story of Christ performing an exorcism.
Yeah.
And he demands that the demon name himself, and the demon says, "We are legion, we are many."
I actually like that part of the Bible, because it's kind of badass.
It is. It's him saying "out."
Yeah. I just that's pretty good villain line.
It is good.
But I like it better when it's David Haller saying it. But
don't worry, Christ sends the demon into a herd of hogs, and then they run off a cliff and die. And he's like, boom. Boom goes the legion.
Yeah, that actually is a fairly badass Jesus moment. Yeah, badass Jesus. So they're reading that. And like I said, I like that. I see where that could be a thematic thing, because he's made of many bodies.
They just dip a little toe into it,
and then later when he's asked his name, he says that, and then end of thematic run in this movie. Like,
well, except for it clicks with Mason, and he's like Apollodore, and he's like, "Yes, you are. You are maybe 4 or 5 people." He's like, "Who can I talk to? Henry Clavall? Is he in there?" And he's like, "Hey, Betty, how's it going?"
That's the thing a screenwriter could have latched onto and made a runner throughout the movie as like a thematic thing is. But no. Once again, and maybe that was in the Isherwood script, much like the sort of bizarre homoerotic relationship between the creature and Victor Frankenstein.
It's not in the movie, but it's all in my fan fiction. You've read it, right?
Oh, of course. I thought that was the Isherwood script. No.
That was just for me.
Stuff went down. So then the dog barks because the creature's around. They're like, "What? Does someone?" Oh no, there's no one there. Never mind.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's now just a full-on stalker, the creature, because he follows Agatha and her boyfriend, whose name I
watches him make out.
Yeah,
he's Manny. Let's just call him Manny. And they make out in a field, and the creature's like, "Yes,
that's it.
I'd like to get me some of that."
Yes. Oh no. Yes. There it is. Now take that off. That's what Daddy likes. When the creature said Daddy likes, I was really a little like, wow, that's an odd line.
But then it made sense, because Vincent Frankenstein is his father, and I mean Victor.
I was
and
say,
Victor
Vincent
does like
Frankenstein? That's a new character.
No,
That's me, Vincent Price, as Frankenstein. I've made life.
John, I do drink before we start the podcast.
It's alive.
It's the only way I can get
alive, I say.
Isn't it gruesome?
Actually,
it's absolutely gruesome.
I can't believe he didn't play Frankenstein in something. That seems impossible.
I have to think he probably did.
Well, he definitely played some Frankenstein-esque characters. There's no question about that. He played a sheriff mad scientist. But I don't know if he ever actually played Frankenstein. Yes.
Yeah.
Live my creation.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. I think I would have seen it. Anyway, so then Agatha and her boyfriend leave, but they only pretend to leave so that the creature will come back.
Yeah,
and then they're going to sneak in on her grandfather talking to this friend of his.
They think
what a couple of scamps.
they are doing it like in this innocent, like, well, he's shy, so what we'll do is we'll pretend we're going, we'll say it loud so he hears us, and then we'll sneak back in
so we can go. Boom,
so we can introduce ourselves to him. Jesus.
Well, it doesn't go well.
No, it does not.
Because they come in, and Agatha is horrified, screams, she gets knocked to the ground, which leads the boyfriend to come in, and this dude just gets straight up murdered because the monster throws him against the wall, and in classic movie fashion, you know he's dead because there's a smear of blood and it trails down the wall as he slides down it.
Yeah,
he is all kinds of dead.
He's okay. Yeah, so Manny's done, and it's a quasi-innocent death. I mean, the creature's like doesn't know his strength and is like, I don't want to see you, and slams a guy in the wall.
Yeah.
Agatha goes down. She doesn't die. She wakes up. She wakes up.
Pretty stupid.
She sees her boyfriend's dead. She's like, no, but her grandfather's just sitting there crying.
Yeah.
She runs out for help, I guess.
Says Ralph Richardson. No.
She runs out for help into the carriage lane.
Yeah.
And
I feel like she had time to get out of the way, or at least attempt to.
Plus, here's the thing, guys.
She kind of just stands there and scream. I love people in movies who are just like, it's coming at me, but I have enough time to put up my hands and scream. Not
a horse and carriage barreled down on her. She puts up her hand. She gets run over. What I love is, I mean, we're inured to the idea of hit and runs. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I think in that era, these people would have stopped their carriage and said, oh my God, is she okay?
Don't look back. I've already got 2 strikes.
They just keep going.
They'll hang me for this. Yeah. What we don't see is the madman at the helm of this thing going, I wanted to run someone down.
Yeah. It's like, that was satisfying.
And by the way, all this happens in like under a minute. The guy's dead. She runs out. She's hit by the carriage. It is a comical pacing to this.
Yeah, it's goofy as fuck.
Yeah, I wanted the blind man to die somehow to finish this whole he's taking out the whole family.
Whole family's wiped out.
Which, I mean, to be fair, Karloff did do that. He took out that whole fucking family.
That was very disturbing. Where it's like the parents are at the castle ruins, like, oh, I miss our little Maria, and the creature's like, not done yet, and just.
Well, you'll be seeing her real soon.
Miss your daughter? I'll put you back with him.
Yeah, he was trying to do a nice thing there.
But in this one, we have Michael Sarrazin see this happen, the creature, and he goes, Agatha, and he picks her dead body up.
I love you from afar.
He says rest, which is actually sweet.
And then he walks her right to James Mason.
He knows where people get brought back from the dead, and that's at the old Frankenstein place, which is not inhabited by Frankenstein, no Mo. Polidori's moved in with his 2 male servants.
Oh, dear God.
We have to talk about it.
Oh, these servants. I'm going to go ahead and say from the parlance of the time that these gentlemen are from the Orient.
Yeah, yes, that is what they would have said.
And also, that's about the level of portrayal of Asian characters we have there.
They are pretty much silent. They are dressed traditionally. They're not twins, but they're both long-haired Chinese gentlemen.
Yes. And they are mysterious and inscrutable.
They are mysterious, inscrutable. And Polidori will speak to them in Chinese in a couple of places. It's like, oh, that's nice.
What is this?
But basically,
I don't speak this language written in the script.
I was looking at the sides. Is someone going to tell me someone's going to dub this in? I don't have it in me to learn the ching chong flippy flu.
Tell me, is this not English or have I had too much? Let me know. Ralph? Oh, Ralph's already passed out.
This may be I'm having one of my spells, but I don't recognize anything in this. Does this say tandoori chicken? I don't even know.
I don't remember signing on for a Charlie Chan picture.
I believe I've never gone up against Charlie Chan.
I was up for a Mr. Moto, though.
I'm always down for a moto. Okay, I know we're getting in very touchy territory, but
no. James Mason is getting into that touchy territory.
Yeah, that's not me,
These
man.
were
That's
just
James
recordings
Mason.
of James Mason from the set of this movie.
What next? Do you want me to speak some Russian gobbly-goobity?
Oh, James Mason must have played German, Russian.
Sure.
I mean, you know it, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, I'm German now, but about that sort of. He was never not just James Mason.
No, I don't think he ever did accents.
Not once.
I heard that you wanted to see me, mein Führer.
Well, Germans were always British in those old World War II movies. It was always British dudes being Germans.
To be fair, it's not just that they were Germans. British people are always the bad guy.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a perfect bad guy voice.
Yes, because it seems better than you.
I have to say, when you watch The Mandalorian and you hear some of the first Imperial people speaking without British accents, I was thrown.
Whoa! Yeah.
I was like,
I thought
I don't know if I like
us on their side.
Yeah,
or at least as officers, stormtroopers always had American voices.
Yeah, looks like they're building something called a Death Star. I guess I've been stationed on that thing.
They're just the most like, hey, how you doing? I'm the Grand Moff around here.
I hear you was being transferred to Alderaan. We'll have a good time.
I mean, to be fair, somebody pointed this out, and it's true. Bill Burr is the first Bostonian in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
and he is former Empire.
That's true.
Yeah, though he's a ground soldier once again. Similar, although he points out he's not a stormtrooper. But all the stormtroopers were always a little bit more blue collar in how they spoke.
Yeah, it's true.
It was the opposite. Yeah, somehow I got to be the Grand Admiral around here. I don't know. Ever since Tarkin ate it. Let's see. So James Mason now is talking to the creature, and you better believe he busts out his trademark hypnotism again. Yes, you will lie down.
They established that in part 1, and we finally get to see it at work, and boy, is it magical.
And he goes, he's like, I need to know everything about you. Was it Victor Frankenstein who built you?
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Here's the thing I really liked about Polidori, and actually James Mason.
James Mason is what kept me engaged in this.
Yes,
because we're playing a supervillain in this thing.
He is present, and he is a supervillain.
Yeah.
What I loved about Polidori is how grossly racist, sexist, and he's so dismissive of this creature. He's the one that keeps going, why don't you have a seat, you misshapen monster? He's the one that's constantly in this thing.
Get over here, you ugly sack of shit.
Yes, basically, he's like going, listen, you piece of droppings from the back of a mule. Why don't you have a sit? Put down some paper first before you sit on that
I do love that moment when he that is a great moment. Yeah, I wouldn't want you to ruin it with your oozing boils and whatnot.
You are disgusting in every way.
Yeah, look at this. Jesus. Can we do something about this? Here's a bag. Put it over your face. Jesus.
You remind me of my first wife. Moving on.
All this was improvised, too. That's what I think is amazing. It's all Mason, man. Yeah, I have a few suggestions here for lines. I can't imagine Christopher Isherwood will have a problem.
This would be very nice to throw in later. What's the deal with airline food? Polidori just goes off on a rant. I think it's a key into his character.
Yes. Feel free to use it if you want.
If I put this in, it will be, the audience will love this. And
somewhere a young Jerry Seinfeld's like, oh, what is the deal?
I was really influenced by Dr. Polidori's observational
the other thing is, this really confirms it in the second one. He's Dr. Polidori because they want him to be Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, he does have,
and they can't do that because that's a Universal creation.
He's got some full-on kind of, he does get mad scientist ranting. He does.
Bits. He also gets a little Bond villainy at a certain point when we find out about his hands, which I was not prepared for, but loved. So anyway, his next stop, Why, it's the wedding of Victor Frankenstein.
Finally, he and Elizabeth are getting hitched. He's forgotten all about his creature, and he's happy.
We basically have gone from Frankenstein to Bride of Frankenstein kind of structurally, right? Where it's sort of like...
Ish. So this is also the novel.
I've put all that behind me, and now it's time to settle down.
It is the novel. So the novel has this... Yeah, it's like he and Elizabeth...
They seem to also be taking from Universal as well, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all very happy. The family's like, this is great. And Polidori's like... Not so fast.
I believe my invitation must have been lost in the mail. Perhaps it was too sunny a day to deliver it.
It was in my other pants, which I thoroughly ruined with my urine.
And maybe if I had a pair of functioning human hands.
It makes going pee-pee so difficult.
I get it everywhere is what I'm saying. It's a goddamn Jackson Pollock painting in there.
The idea of James Mason saying going pee-pee to me is the best thing ever.
Oh, look out! Oh,
no,
dear.
I don't feel any poo-poos coming on, but I must pee-pee.
I just like the idea of him just, without his hands, just an uncontrolled... He's just peeing everywhere. Oh, dear.
What, does that bother you? Come on, get over yourself. We all do it. You know it.
Oh, don't look at me like that. We've all had a rough night.
We're all just animals in clothes.
It actually does seem like a character who might say that.
So he barges into the wedding.
He's like, congratulations, Victor. Now, would you like to help me bring someone back from the dead?
And he's like, I'm out of that game,
I told you I was out of that game. Are you at it? And it's just like, and he's like, I need your help because you're an expert surgeon. And me, look at my non-existent. He has one missing hand and one mangled, bony little hand.
We don't see that one till the end. But the missing hand, he's like, do me a favor. Take that glove off.
Yeah. Which at first, before I knew he had fake hands, I was like, what a dick. Take your own fucking gloves off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he takes his hand off, and there's
taking your entire hand off.
Yeah, there's a whole stump, and he's like going, well, my early experiments, they didn't go so well. And
those magic powders really did a number on my hands.
All the Jello mix was more acidic than I thought.
I just wanted some delicious Jello.
He's like, I need your help to do this. And he's like, well, why should I help you? And doesn't he basically say, because your creatures... Does he give away the creatures alive?
He does. He brings him outside, and in his carriage is the creature. In his
carriage is the creature with the little kabuki mask in front of his face.
And he's like, that's right. I seem to have picked up something you misplaced.
And the creature, even though it had essentially run from Victor Frankenstein off a cliff, is totally happy to see him. He's like, Victor.
All of a sudden, all of his suicidal tendencies are long gone and not brought up again.
Like, oh, you're my friend. It's so good to see you.
Even though I was literally attempting to destroy myself earlier.
Right.
Just a couple days ago.
And Polidori has the balls to sit there going, yeah, I knew it was your wedding. That's why I came here. Yeah. And now I need you to help me
make an entrance.
Yeah, now I want to bring a dead body back to life, and it has to be today. He's like, it's my wedding night. He's like, it won't take that long.
But his big thing is, he goes, oh, you think that's bad that I just found your creature? Get this, he's a murderer now.
Right.
He's killed. That's going to be on you, buddy.
He's got a taste for human blood, which isn't true. He'll
kill again. He loves it. Ask him. He loves the killing.
He does say it's like the murders, and really, there's one dude.
Yeah.
That he slammed up against the wall.
I mean, I guess he's blaming him for Jane Seymour's death. And also, how much of even what happened was the creature able to reiterate to Polidori? Like,
that's true.
I smashed man against wall, and he bled on wall. Yes, murder.
Manny went splat. Got it. Manny went splat.
You made a man explode. We've all been there. He's goo now, I understand.
Blah, blah, blah. been down that road.
Oh, I've murdered. So he's like, if you well, his big thing is like, he's a murderer now, and if you don't help me, I'm just gonna turn him loose on the city and see what happens.
He does kind of do this blackmailing thing.
He's
like,
just gonna,
all right.
I'm just gonna release this son of a bitch. Like,
yeah.
And then it's gonna be bad news. So then we cut to, Victor packing his bags and Elizabeth going, "We just got me. Where are you going?"
I thought I was gonna get a little, tonight.
One of the things I do actually like about this is Elizabeth has much more agency in this than she does in many other Frankenstein stories.
It's kind of true.
She is attempting to be like, "What the fuck, man?" Like a lot, and she stands up to Polidori. There's a lot of stuff where it's like, "Get out of here, man."
She has this one good line where she's like going, "When will we be rid of you?"
Yeah.
And she's just looking straight in the face. Baldur's going, "Oh, pardon me."
Her whole turn at the end where she's just like, "Just let the fucker die. He's the worst."
I know.
I'm with her. I'm like, "Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
This guy deserves to die." Like,
Polidori way deserves to die.
100%. I'm actually somewhat disappointed with how he goes out, though.
I'm not, but we'll talk about it.
All right.
We're not there yet.
Yeah. So he's pissed, and he goes, "I'll just be gone for a little bit. You run along to where we were going to honeymoon, and I'll meet up with you later, okay?"
Jesus. Your wedding night.
So he goes off
bailing on your wife.
And then she sees through the back window, the tiny little back window of the carriage, the kabuki mask, and then the creature takes off the kabuki mask like, "It's been me the whole time."
Hey, lady. Look at this face.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't let anybody else see it at the other place, but for some reason, I'm totally willing for you to see it.
To poor Michael Saracen, man.
I know.
He's trying to play a character.
I will also say, here's a positive. I actually think the makeup in this, from part 1 to this part, across the whole thing, is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I did have a trivia note.
And he continues to degrade and continues to degrade, and it looks pretty great.
I did have a note here about the makeup, I believe. Did I not?
Yeah. Don't build up to a note that you don't have, John.
I thought I did here. Maybe I don't. I think this is a former Hammer makeup artist, is what.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I remember reading that somewhere.
Is the note on this? I think that may have been on Wikipedia, not IMDb. But that was the thing. Was what I'll confirm what it is exactly. But this is a real deal makeup artist they got on this.
Yeah.
And I do think that was something that they the makeup was by Hammer horror veteran artist Roy Ashton.
Oh yeah, we did talk about him.
Yeah.
They must have given him some more money, and they must have given him some more time, because this is better than a lot of his stuff before.
He was the assistant to the chief makeup artist on Curse of Frankenstein. He was in charge of makeup for Hound of the Baskervilles. Subsequently created some of the studio's most celebrated images, such as the Christopher Lee mummy, Curse of the Werewolf, the Reptile.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah. House That Dripped Blood he later did, and so he did, and
I'm giving him full props.
He was also the makeup artist on the Pink Panther franchise. They said a note that was not a step away from horror for him, but although Jesus, Peter Sellers, no,
he did what he could.
Look at what I have to work with. He's like the doctor.
That I knew where I knew that line was coming. I gave you that.
I have to work with.
I gave you that space to do that line.
Yeah, because I'm always about to reference '89 Batman. So they go back to James Mason's lab, and he goes, "Well, here's the thing. I would very much like to use this gorgeous head of Jane Seymour for the monsters. Is that possible? The body, but the head, oh yes."
It's a weird, the implication is that he goes, the rest of the body was in too bad a shape, and we're like, I guess we'll take your word for it, but this is just...
Then it's weird, though, when the monster just has Jane Seymour's body later, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because they, in this case, the bride, or Prima...
Yeah.
Just...
Well, we don't want Universal on our ass, so it's not the bride.
No. This is essentially just Jane Seymour as Agatha's head.
Although I would have loved Jane Seymour in the big fright wig. That would have been nice.
Oh, and actually, she would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Beautiful woman, perfect bone structure.
So was Elsa Lanchester. I mean, another very
no, absolutely true.
I mean,
young Elsa Lanchester,
very striking classical beauty. You know,
yeah,
had kind of but also almost ethereal, otherworldly that worked for the bride as well.
The thing I liked about her, just in general, is, and these were unconventional things. She had the little dimple chin.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a space between her teeth, which that's always for me kind of like an affectionate thing because, yeah, I do too. So an attractive woman that has that little space in the teeth. She's like me is what I say every time I look at the Bride of Frankenstein. I also hiss whenever a man touches my arm.
Well, I mean, who can blame you, especially these days? Yikes. Yeah.
She does that in this movie. She actually does have some hissing scenes. I was like, oh, that's got to be a tribute to Bride of Frankenstein.
I just love how weird this Jane Seymour character and performance is.
This character's really weird.
It was not what I was prepared for when Jane Seymour came into this movie, and
what I was saying is this bride is not stitched together from it's just a full body they found. We don't know where. It's quite nice.
Well, their Frankenstein
creature
head isn't really a stitched together thing either. I mean, it is, but it's not portrayed that way.
There are things that Michael Sarrazin does occasionally in the way he walks and moves that I could see him trying. Like, I want to show that it's sort of disjointed.
Attempting to do something.
Yeah.
Like, can I just play anything? Hello?
And they're like, yeah, go for it, Michael.
Yeah, whatever. You're a fucking monster. Who cares, man? Jesus Christ.
But yeah, so essentially
everyone on this was like, it's a piece of shit. Who cares?
So Polidori basically says, you and Henry Clavall did your best with this fucking piece of shit monster. He goes, but we're gonna do things my way.
Look at that. You call that good work? Jesus.
He goes, we can't save that piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the reason
it in a toilet? Good Lord.
And the reason the process was reversing is you guys were idiots.
Yeah.
My process is better.
Electricity.
Doesn't use he doesn't use electricity either, and they didn't. They used solar power.
Well, but also there was electricity involved in it too, because it was solar powered electricity.
Oh, okay.
Maybe so. Well, because his whole thing is, remember in the last one was like still using electricity, eh?
Oh, right. Yeah, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But he goes, so we're not going to do a man.
Magic powders from the Orient.
Yeah, that is essentially what they're saying here.
Yeah.
They're making him, though he never uses the word, they're making him more of an alchemist, which is like Dr. Pretorius in Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Basically he goes...
Whale leans into the absurdity of Pretorius, whereas here we're supposed to still think of this guy, this is more grounded than the whale stuff.
Ish.
Well, it wants to be. It has a higher mindset. That's the whole thing I love about this, part 2 in particular. All of this high-minded stuff, this is the stupidest, dumbest shit. Like, this is so goddamn silly, the second part.
Well, you have your
prestige project.
Young, handsome Victor Frankenstein is looking at the tank and all this like, wow, this is so amazing. He's like, you will be my hands, and we are going to make a woman this time. We're not going to do a guy, because chicks is hot.
Yeah.
And then
because I want to do this creature, Victor. Don't you get it?
Well, his motivations, especially once she's up and running,
oh my God,
are so weird. Because he essentially is placing her so that she might seduce Frankenstein for some reason. You're like, what are you doing?
His ultimate plan is to have her seduce the leaders of countries, and then I will rule from the shadows. When he makes that jump, I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, eventually he turns into Bond villain pimp. It's like... Yeah, it's like she will marry into maybe the royal family, and then my influence over her will be influence over the entire country and then the world. You're like, what?
I really wish that was where this went. That
would have been part 3.
Far more interesting.
Part 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically he gets Victor to sew the head onto the body. He's like, look at you. You're a born surgeon. You're so good.
And we get this whole sequence where they're pouring colored powders into this tank. We're getting an almost nude female. Well, we are getting a nude female body, but it's clearly like a mannequin body.
It's a mannequin, which I was sitting there going, that might have been an actual life cast of Jane Seymour because all the proportions are right, if you know what I mean. I was
also
surprised
something tells me that they didn't take the time or money to do that. Though.
Probably not.
I think they found a mannequin body and went, yeah, that's pretty close.
It's close to Jane.
Yeah.
But
also,
they do the
Jane's
whole...
like, it's once again Frankenstein the true story. I am not sitting for that.
I don't know, man. 1973 Jane is probably going, what do you need me to do?
I don't know.
She's just starting out.
I've got a Bond picture out.
That's true. But she basically
Roger Moore didn't have me do this shit.
Yaphet Kotto did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, even Cubby Broccoli was not as pervy as you guys.
The tank here does look like it's a big Jello pan, and
really
so you
does.
see the mannequin suspended in this, and they've got the multicolored water bubbling, and basically it's just up to Victor to look on like, this is amazing, and the Chinese guys to sit there blowing the bellows and then like pouring liquids in, and it's just nonsense. And then it becomes this weird trippy nonsense where they do like it ends with the woman upright in a clear tube with like purple liquid in it, but anytime they cut to a close-up, it's clearly Jane Seymour with a scar across her neck, but not in water. No. They have a fan blowing her hair around as if she's underwater, but she's not.
It's the
just
classic,
a purple
like
filter.
There's the filter to imply the water and the hair. Yeah, it is.
And the hair is
and all
blowing.
Of a sudden, I'm like,
that's not liquid.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ken Russell's Frankenstein all of a sudden.
Yeah, it looks trippy, very 60s, stupid.
Yeah.
It looks like something out of Barbarella.
It does, yeah. I should say it's Roger Vadom's.
I will say Barbarella is a great comic book movie because it is like batshit loyal.
I enjoy it. Like I do get a kick out in the same way I love Danger Diabolique. I think both of those are very fun.
I like Barbarella in the same way that I like The Fifth Element because the story is crap. The story's crap, but the world they create is so Euro comics. It's so Euro sci-fi. It's
right.
The style
and the personalities of it work because then when he does it again in Valerian, it doesn't work because I don't want to watch these people. You've got all the world building shit, but like it did help to have a Bruce Willis in Fifth Element.
I enjoy the movie.
Mila Jovovich is very committed.
Right.
That's sort of the thing where it's like, whereas Dane DeHaan's a very good actor, just wrong for that part. And
we're not going to have this fight again.
I'm not about to call
in my heart
a very good actor.
# my Valerian. No, it's a joke. I'm not standing up for his performance in that.
But he's another good actor. Poor Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, he'll be all right. Don't worry.
He already just did that Stephen King show for Apple TV, so I think he's doing just fine.
Don't worry about him.
Yeah. So I love the point too. Eventually, when the tank catches fire, that's the final stage of this. And
what I don't understand is they have the creature standing in the lab the whole time.
Yeah.
Why would they?
Yes, you ugly piece of garbage. Come over here and look at this.
Why would they? Because they know that he has this childlike romantic attachment.
Because
so
when
if
it catches fire,
tank
he's like,
on fire,
oh no!
He's like, get back. She's
that
all
was
right.
supposed to happen, you imbecile.
Have you ever seen a baked Alaska?
Yeah. It's supposed to catch fire. Would someone get him out of here?
It's the same idea as a baked Alaska, my old boy.
And the final touch, fire.
Yes, you have to light the top of it.
Fire. Victor, if you will, light the match, please. Ooh, that's a good... It's roaring now.
You know what? I forgot. And this is on me. Yeah. I forgot the making for s'mores.
Yeah. Does somebody want to get me some weenies and marshmallows? I love weenies. Yeah.
Marshmallows and Hershey's chocolate and graham crackers.
And it better be Hershey's. Don't give me any of that store brand shit.
I don't want any Cadbury, even though I'm British. Fuck that noise.
The pride of Pennsylvania.
I love the idea of drunk James Mason being a chocolate snob. Like going, you can keep all your fancy shit. Yeah. Your fucking whatever, your Toblerone.
Toblerone and Lindors. Get those truffles out of my face.
All I need is some Hershey's. But don't worry.
We got James Mason, but his only demand was we get him Hershey's. Oh, and all the liquor he could consume.
Yes, all the liquor.
Yes.
In Britain.
Yes,
but
bring it all to me.
But
Clear
Jane
up the
Seymour,
bars, gentlemen. No, all right, here we go.
Naked Jane Seymour makes it just fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yes. Implied naked Jane Seymour.
Do they name her here, or is it when she wakes up?
I think it's. Let me see here.
I don't know. They like just put her to bed, and he's like, "Oh, she's fine."
Yeah. Oh, good. He's just like, "Good job, Victor. Now get back to poking that wife of yours."
Yeah,
because
man.
We're gonna get a time jump that is absolutely wild.
The thing I love about this time jump is a lady who is the mother of Victor Frankenstein. She has had 3 lines in the movie,
is it
maybe.
Victor Frankenstein's mother or Elizabeth's mother? I thought it was Elizabeth's mother.
Oh, I guess it is Elizabeth's mother.
Because
Victor
Mason, Pedori,
yes.
He gets in with her family.
That's right. They're the Fanshaws. That's right. I am now remembering their name. Yeah. But basically, she's had like nothing in this movie to do. One of the lines she gets is one of the clumsiest info drops I've ever seen. And it's this. She's like talking to Polidori, and she's like, "Oh, Victor and Elizabeth are coming back." And he's like, "That's great." She's like, "Yes, and Elizabeth's pregnant." And he's like, "Oh, well, congratulations." She's like, "I know. Well, they've bbeen together for 4 months."
Yeah.
And then she looks right at the camera.
Yeah.
4 months.
Oh, so they must have done a lot of fucking, says James Mason.
it's just sort of like going, man, that was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Look to camera, so audience is aware it's now a year later.
Yeah. And I'm this family's best friend somehow.
Yeah, Elizabeth shows up with a pillow under her dress, and Victor Frankenstein
has not pregnant. That's just a pillow.
Victor Frankenstein shows up with a glue-on goatee that he gets rid of almost immediately.
Love the goatee to show that time has passed. It's one of my favorite things in movies is when somebody just has a mustache all of a sudden or something.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like,
and the mother character goes
10 years later, or whatever.
He's like, "Oh, Victor, that goatee, that beard, I hardly recognized you."
And he's like, "Is that right? I'll take it right off.
I'll take it right off because it does disappear.
I'll just
instantly.
peel this thing right off right now." Yeah, I was going.
But yeah, Polidori is now tight with the family, and you know what? It not only is he tight with the Fanshaws, he's also brought over his ward.
This is while I'm merely her guardian, I'm as proud as any father. He says.
Yes, he does say that. He's like, yes, she's like a daughter to me.
I've told Prima to copy Elizabeth in every way.
And that is the deal, is that Prima...
Because that's a normal thing to do.
From the drop, Prima knows that her whole deal is to shame and belittle and elbow out of the way Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ooh, and I will say,
there's no question Jane Seymour and this other actress here do have are similar types, physical types, similar facial features, and
they both have very cat-like eyes, which is
they're also just these very delicate British waifs.
Yes. Which is also interesting. Agatha, now that she is Prima, now that she has been risen from the grave, unlike the creature, she has intelligence. She's a little off, but she's intelligent.
Oh, she's a bit off, but who isn't?
And she does not have that Irish accent anymore. Apparently, when you're brought back from the dead, you become British.
Well, that was more in the body, so it's just the head.
How could a body transfer an accent?
I don't know.
Answer the question.
No.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. He's evading. That was evasive, Your Honor.
I looked up Nicola Paget. She had her troubles.
Well, I knew that she became manic depressive.
Yes, exactly.
Late in life.
While appearing in What the Butler Saw at the National Theater, she began behaving erratically and was ultimately diagnosed as having acute manic depression. She reached her lowest point when she was escorted from her home by 4 men to be confined in a closed psychiatric unit, but since then was able to control her illness and actually wrote a book about it in 1998 called Diamonds Behind My Eyes.
Wow.
And we only lost her in March of this year.
Really?
At 75. She died at age 75
I hope...
March 3rd, 2021.
hope her remaining years were more stable and that there were some good times. I like her, and she is very good in this.
She got it under control and managed it with medication and such like that. So, and she was born in Cairo.
Wow.
Because her father was an oil executive based in Cairo. I did a deep dive on Nicola Paget, and by that I mean I read the 3 things in her IMDb trivia. And obviously I read the entirety of Diamonds Behind My... No, I did not, of course. Why would I? Just for the sections on this movie.
And I hope that, like I say...
James Mason smelled of bourbon, she said. No,
that was actually 5 pages or so just going on about
more of a whiskey man, actually. Yes, it's me, the ghost of James Mason, here to correct the autobiography of Nicola Paget.
I returned to have my revenge on Nicola Paget. Yes. Is she still around? Oh, no? Oh, I missed her.
Damn, I spent too much time imbibing in the afterlife.
Back to the spirit realm where I'll find her, track her down, and give her quite the smacking.
I call it the spirits realm.
The spirits realm.
Yes, I'm still drunk even though I'm a ghost.
My body is actually preserved perfectly thanks to all the drinking I did.
I remember when I talked to Hitch on the set of North by Northwest that, there I was with Kirk Douglas filming 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Hated him, hated Walt Disney, hated how dry it was.
Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, let's see here. Frankenstein is particularly pissed that Polidori is like, what? Why can't I get away from this guy?
Which is actually the refrain that goes on for the rest of the movie.
You'll never get rid of me. Trust me, old boy.
And
I haunt this picture.
He's both kind of thrown by the Prima being there, but also he's like, damn.
Well,
because it's 1973 Jane Seymour.
And honestly, 2021 Jane Seymour is still pretty striking.
I know we come across as creepy, but we are celebrating a woman's career, her life, and the fact that she was, and still is, a very beautiful woman.
I mean, she is like, it is almost like a painting. You know, I mean, it's just like, she's so shockingly beautiful.
Well, when she dances in this and does the ballet stuff, I mean, that is how she brought up. I don't mean to make an over-exaggeration, but there are some people like Audrey Hepburn and like Jane Seymour that because they were that build and they were athletic, as in they were both dancers and they danced their whole lives, I just think that preserved them very well because Audrey hung in there and looked amazing when she died, and same thing with Jane Seymour
in the terrible Steven Spielberg movie Always. Still great though.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean,
that's not terrible. It's a misfire though.
Yeah, it is.
But he got Audrey Hepburn in it in her last movie, so.
And I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it all day long.
Yeah. So he's pissed. Prima's having her troubles. She's having spells, if you will.
Yeah. But we also learned something very interesting about Prima, and this is something I didn't know, even though I'm a comics fan. It was stunning to know that this was the origin of the character Taskmaster. Prima, as we discover, is a photographic mimic.
Yes.
So they do say, like, the cover stories, Polidori says, I was hoping that Prima and Elizabeth would become wonderful friends because I want to introduce Prima to society, and I think Elizabeth would be a great mentor, like a big sister.
And also it shall be the doom of Captain America.
And I hope that she will fight Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yes. So
take that, Natasha Romanoff.
So it is a thing where
we missed out never getting James Mason as a comic book villain.
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
You could just be like a Mark Miller and do a comic where you cast it and tell your artist to draw someone exactly like James Mason.
I totally would.
I know you would.
Yes.
And I gotta say, James Mason is Nemo. That's a hard act to follow.
Honestly,
because
that is probably the closest we've gotten to
he
him as a
doesn't
comic
fit.
book. Yeah.
He doesn't fit the character. Like the guy from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is what Captain Nemo would look like.
Exactly. Both in the comic and the movie, the image is perfect.
Yeah, but the James Mason brings it.
Well, I mean, I grew up watching the VHS of that movie, so James Mason is Captain Nemo to me.
Yeah, and I always want to see Charles Bronson in striped shirts. But anyway,
hey, come on now.
But so that's the whole gag, and she watches what Elizabeth does, and then can mimic it perfectly. That includes piano playing. Yep. She actually mimics even the mistakes that Elizabeth makes. That was pretty baller.
Actually, the Jane Seymour section of this, I kind of enjoy. Not just because I like Jane Seymour, but because I actually think this is the closest it gets to actual horror. Like, if it was just sort of a drawing room horror movie.
Well, it's kind of single white female.
Yeah.
Single white female.
If it was like Victorian single white female,
yeah,
I kind of like that movie.
Because she is basically making the moves on Victor. And
we also see she learns how to faint. So she pretends to faint so that he will check on her. And then
I did like this, that Victor catches that. He goes, because Victor knows that she's a mimic, and she goes, after they're like, would you see her to her room? Prima's had a fainting spell. And he takes her to the room and goes, you saw that woman faint at the opera last night. Yeah, you're doing it exactly the same. Like, and Prima just kind of smiles like, And Jane Seymour is, I mean, she's not, this is still early in her career, but she's doing this great thing of like, I am genteel and sweet, but there are these weird psychotic moments where she's like going, I'm actually planning everyone's death.
She's got more levels to play than a lot of people. So even though Jane Seymour definitely gets better over time as an actress. Speaking of time, love Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, and not just because Superman's in it, which is great.
I can't really watch any Christopher Reeve anything without it's too painful anyway. I'm like, no, just like I'm not sure I'll be able to watch Black Panther again because it just hurts too much.
I gotta say, watching What If even was getting me to tear up just hearing his.
I'm telling you, and I the last 2 episodes, which also featured his voice, I was like, you can hear that he's sick and it hurts. Anyway, but
so she immediately starts smooching Victor here.
Mm-hmm. And he's kind of fighting it and kind of like not. He's kind of like, this is...
hey. Apparently, though, she's cold to the touch, though. So how enjoyable can it be, Victor?
This was also the inspiration for a song that would debut just a few years after this. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. And then,
willing to copy my wife.
Well, that's really good. We are going to do a parody version of Cold as Ice.
Cold as Ice.
Based on Frankenstein, the true story.
America's been dying for it. Let's be honest.
They have. But also, as we stated before, Elizabeth does have some backbone and strength. She sees all this going on. Yeah. She knows what's up.
Well, because later
she doesn't know that this is a dead body come back to life.
She'll confront Jane Seymour in a very disturbing scene when Jane Seymour is petting this cat.
There's this thing where we cut to before. I mean, it's just a shot of Jane Seymour in her bedroom petting this white cat.
Yeah.
And she's singing this little made-up ditty about, oh, the sweet little cat. It won't hurt me if I don't hurt it. And then she starts strangling it.
Which,
she's like,
honestly, this was the most intense moment for me because I was just like, oh, thank God the cat's okay.
I know. And Jane Seymour's like, at least pretending. She's like, oh, you fucking cat, I'm going to do it. Just as Elizabeth walks in and goes, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing. And then the cat scratches her and gets out of her hands.
Yeah. And she's got this bloody scratch on her hand, which at the end of the scene, she just starts licking the blood from her hand.
She licks the purple blood off her hand.
That's the most disturbing part, whatever that grape jelly coming out of her was.
Yeah. And basically, this is Elizabeth coming in saying, I don't know what you're up to, but you stay away from my man.
I don't like it, whatever it is. Don't
you
care.
And Polidori get the fuck out of our lives.
Stay away from my man. I thought it was weird that she was Southern just for this one scene.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you I was educated in Virginia?
So they're preparing Prima for the ball that night or whatever that they're having.
Yes.
And they go, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to put this necklace on her. Well, we'll just remove this rib. And she's like, no.
Yeah, these handmaidens and the mother character are dressing her for the ball, which is, I guess, her coming out party kind of thing. Yeah. And they're like, well, let's swap out your normal neck ribbon, your choker, with this thing. Yeah. And they go for it. She goes, no. And she goes, this is very sentimental. Yeah. It was the last thing I had from my mother or something. Blah, blah, blah.
So I love later then, because then we cut to later that night and she's asleep. And Elizabeth sneaks into her room and pulls down the ribbon to show it doesn't look like her head has been stitched on. It looks like it's a scar on her neck.
Well, see, here the thing that cracked me up about this is
where the makeup really doesn't sell this.
No, but I just think writer-wise, this wasn't a good choice, because at worst, what Elizabeth would have seen and does see, as we do, is that she has this terrible scar around her neck, but it's not monstrous. The way they have, for the sake of a horror movie, they have Elizabeth freak out as if she's seen Michael Sarrazin's character. And she runs out. She's like, oh my God, runs to Victor. And I'm just sitting there going, all I would think, if that were me being so stalkery and peeking a look under the ribbon, is I'd go, oh, you poor woman. Something terrible must have happened.
That is always the thing in these movies, I feel like, is the reaction more than horror you would take. Even to Sarrazin, you'd be like, oh my God, whatever is afflicted.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh God, what a terrible illness you have or something. It's like, but yeah, instead Elizabeth,
oh dear God,
she has this overreaction at a neck scar, which does go all the way around.
Not inhuman like Karloff was, where you're like, this is wrong. Everything about what this guy looks like is just wrong.
Well, Sarrazin is by this point, but I mean,
he's getting there. But even still, it's mostly like boils.
He looks like
unibrow.
He looks like a plague. He looks like a plague victim.
It looks like something's wrong with him, but he's still
leprosy.
A man. Whereas
leprosy or the plague.
The Karloff design is like, I see that's attempting to look like a man, but oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his skull was flattened because the way they had to take the top of it off to put the brain in.
There's stuff like that where you're like, that's, and even
and bolts.
We don't love the makeup on Christopher Lee, but still, it is like, Jesus, that's a corpse.
Yeah, that's a monster.
Yeah, this guy
is not
just like
a sick man.
Yeah.
In a shabby outfit.
Dear God, a scar on Jane Seymour's neck. No, and
look you know what? She still looked beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. That wouldn't stop me.
No, I would not scream and run out of the room.
Her cold to the touch skin, though, I might have some questions.
Oh, cold skin.
Yeah. No, if anything, that's gonna make Brendan go even more for her. Tired of these warm ladies.
Yeah, I'm tired of anyone that's room temperature.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. You're just too warm for me. So, oh yeah, so Victor's like, when is this gonna end, Polidori? Like, and he's like, we'll be moving on soon enough, but I still have your creature locked up. Wouldn't it be a nice thing if he just, I don't know, disappeared? We'll make a vat of acid and dissolve this son of a bitch, is basically his point.
It's what he's saying.
Yeah. And so Victor lures the creature out, and it's another like, my friend Victor? And it's like, yes, buddy, come on out. We're going to play now. Oh, goody.
Now, like, is this before? Oh, this is before that's right, before the party.
Yeah,
right.
Because this creature's going to
have
a showing at the party.
Oh, does he ever?
Yeah. And this is also the weird thing where Polidori's trying to hypnotize the creature to sleep, but he's like, your presence, Victor, is making my hypnotic powers not work, so you need to tell him to do
us reasons.
Yeah, and so he gets him to lay down.
Yeah, he's like, just lay down.
I was thinking, great. And geez, if this kind of hypnotism existed, if somebody wants to every night come and just tell me to fall into a deep sleep and not wake like till morning, that sounds great, man.
What I love is a line that clearly came from Christopher Isherwood when James Mason as Polidori goes, yes, it's time for your beauty bath.
Yes. Yeah. That is so.
Because he points to the tank and he's like, you saw what happened with Agatha, with Prima, when she went in there, she came out awful pretty.
Now you too can look like Jane Seymour.
And he's like, yeah, I'm down.
Well, that's better than this monstrous mug I've got. Yeah. So sure, yeah.
It's a transition, but I'll adapt.
You look like that gentleman from They Shoot Horses, don't they? Uh, I don't, would that,
Dance.
had he already done that? When was that?
Maybe that's like 75, 4.
I hope it's after that because I hate to think he had done that then this. Ooh,
I might be wrong.
Ooh, Lord,
I'm wrong.
no. 69. He'd already done
Oh,
it.
wow. That's much earlier than I thought.
Yeah, I thought for sure that was a 7. I mean, it's right on the cusp, obviously, but I thought that was definitely like a mid-70s movie. Oh, I had forgotten. He did do an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Did he?
Yes. He played
But his only lines in it were Figaro and Victor.
I did think it was weird that they specifically had
Beautiful
do his performance from this movie.
Yeah. He's like, I haven't revisited the creature since I made that film, but you know what?
No, he played a guy whose planet was overtaken by a plague, and they helped him. It's not the most memorable episode of Deep Space Nine.
I just fell asleep. Are you still talking?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think there's some good Worf stuff in there, though.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they're gonna put him in the, and then at the last minute, Victor's like, "No, wait, don't go in the acid bath." Why?
Last minute guilt.
Some sort of paternal instinct towards this thing that comes out, I guess. I don't know. This would have solved a lot of problems.
Yes.
I mean, Polidori still would have been a problem, but you wouldn't have had him having this hang over his head.
I mean, they do have Victor ask Polidori, like, "Are you sure he won't feel anything?" He goes, "Well, maybe just the initial burning."
Yeah. I mean, look, ignore his horrifying screams.
But he does break the trance and say, "Don't go in the thing," and the creature sits up, is like, "Nope, I'm not doing it."
And immediately hurls one of these Chinese guys into it. Which,
yeah.
Not bad. I was happy I at least got to see somebody go into the acid.
He went in the acid and basically just disappears. That's how they end it. It bubbles.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. And also, they really linger on kind of nothing happening.
But I also love the fact that we will see the other
I could have done for some screaming and thrashing.
They show the other servant guy literally just an hour later or something at the dance.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem too broke up about the fact that his brother or friend went into an acid
let's be honest, his husband. They were married. It was.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You're right. Yeah. That was me being.
That was
totally...
you being heteronormative, sir.
Oh God, I'm such a cis white male.
Yeah. You see two men together and you automatically assume they're not doing it? Come on.
Where's my head at?
Yeah. And so then Polidori just starts lighting the place up. And I like Frankenstein going like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, obviously I'm burning him."
Yeah. Well, what happens is like even though the creature gets out and tosses the guy in the acid, Polidori, the other servant, and Victor get out of this is basement. They get out of the basement, and Polidori has thrown some crates and things down so the creature can't get out.
Right.
Then he closes the door behind him. So it's like, well, we didn't get to throw him in acid, but I'm still going to light the whole place up. And it's amazing. Like they're using some sort of jellied explosive or something. They smear it on the ground, they throw it, and then they run out of the place.
This nitroglycerin with me.
And I do like Polidori going, "Burn, Henry Calaval! Burn, you fucking idiot! You traitor!" And then when they get outside, the entire place has gone up. Yeah. Like within a minute and a half.
And it's just like, well, that's probably the end of it. I'm sure we got him. Anyway, let's go to the party now.
It's exactly it. They immediately turn around and they're like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where he's talking about his plans for world domination. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, she will marry a prince, and I will rule from the shadows. And basically, Victor's like, "Yeah, that's great. Just as long as you leave me alone, go ahead and rule from the shadows. I don't care." And we see all the guys, probably in a very realistic portrayal, surrounding Jane Seymour at this party.
Oh my God. Well, the first thing is like she's dancing, and of course she's watching other people dance, which means she's picking up their moves. Elizabeth, being pregnant, she's kind of like, "I'm going to stay off to the side." So of course, Prima latches on to Victor for a few spins, and then she's got the spirit in her, and she just breaks off in her own thing. It's no longer about the ballroom dancing. Now it's ballet, and everyone stands back just to look. And you want to know why? I'm going to say it again. 1973, Jane Seymour spinning around like a beautiful ballerina, and everyone's watching. Everyone's just like, holy hell.
Can I say, Brendan just looked at her IMDb. 2021 Jane Seymour, single.
I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna do it.
Yeah. Married and divorced 4 times, Jane Seymour.
Yes, and I think maybe she's had daughters that went into acting, but
yes, I believe so.
But I'm just gonna ring her up.
Yeah.
Pardon me, Ms. Seymour.
Jane?
My name is Brendan Jones. I've been a fan of yours.
Her daughter
since the 70s.
Her daughter Catherine Flynn is an actress.
Catherine Flynn.
Yeah. Does stuff.
That's good.
Oh, look at that. She was on an episode of The Office. Did 2 episodes of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Wonder how she got that job. Looks like she's in a number of TV like Hallmark Channel Christmas movies. I mean, that's work. Oh. Well, it seems like her mother is in those ones as well. So,
I mean, I'm not saying maybe she is talented, but would you turn down a job just because your parent got it for you? No.
Oh no, Lord no. Yeah, no. But it just seems like a lot of her jobs are
mom related.
Yeah. And then I think she has a son who acts as well.
Oh, good.
A
few appearances on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
You got it. It seems like he acted when he was younger in stuff she was in, and then has not continued that.
And he's like, you know what, Mom? Yeah, not my bag.
Maybe
not my bag.
Maybe not for me. Those are her 2 children with David Flynn.
Well,
whoever he is.
Screw you, David Flynn.
And James Keach. She had 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, James Keach was a long-term one.
Yeah, 1993 to 2015, she was married to James Keach.
Mm-hmm. Better than Stacy Keach any day of the week.
Not a better actor, but I will say he is the better looking of the 2.
Well, he's also the more stable one.
Well, yes, of course.
The Keaches are a handful. Those Keaches.
Oh, aren't they ever?
But anywho,
oh, wait a minute, this is nice.
What?
Christopher Reeve was the godfather of one of her children.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I would assume probably the older one.
Apparently, they stayed quite close after Somewhere in Time. So that's.
You want to know why? Because he was a prince among men.
That's what I've heard. Everybody loved him.
Damn.
Never heard a single bad thing about him.
I hate that horse.
Yeah.
I'm very angry at that horse.
We killed that horse out of vengeance, right? This is for Superman, you son of a bitch.
This is for Kal-El of the planet Krypton.
Yeah. Wait, don't worry. He got his. He's glue now.
It's horrible. I'm going to do a true crime podcast where I try to track down what happened to the horse that threw Christopher Reeve.
The greatest criminal known to man. Still out there. Still on the loose. For all we know, he could be paralyzing other beloved actors until we bring him to justice.
Sir, where are you going? All I wanted to do was ask a few questions about Chipper.
Yeah.
Sir, where are you going?
The horse trainer was evasive when I spoke to him.
We can talk off mic. Talk off mic. I just want to know what happened to Chipper.
Where's Chipper? Not forthcoming with answers.
All right.
Jesus, we're never going to get through this movie.
A 1-episode podcast.
I looked and didn't find him. End of podcast. Didn't even have a starting place to look for him.
I actually did find Chipper. Couldn't get him to say anything on the mic.
He was oddly quiet.
I didn't get much of a response out of Chipper when Chipper. I said, "Why'd you do it?
Yeah.
Why'd you do it? Who paid you?"
Look, Superman 3 and 4 were bad, but was it worth it, Chipper? Was it?
Who paid you?
Somebody want Christopher Reeve out of the way.
And that was Henry Cavill. No, it would have been Henry Cavill.
Very young Henry Cavill. It was Dean Cain.
It was Dean Cain all along.
I don't mind that because Dean Cain kind of is the worst in real life.
As you've told me. All right, we got to get back to this. All right, so
Mason's gonna take over the world. Guys are chatting. She does her dance,
and things are going pretty well, except
someone right shows in the middle of this dance she's doing, which I do love. Anytime, I've never seen this in reality. People just surrounding one person on the dance floor doing a solo dance.
I have back in the heyday of breakdancing. That's how it would normally happen.
That's what it is. But it's always at like fancy parties in these movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Just crashing through the doors, Michael Sarrazin is the creature here. And boy, he tears this high society party apart. There
are a lot of scenes in this movie
where a guy is just like, "What are you doing here?" and he just hurls this guy out the window. That's great. I love that.
I did like that. This is where things are picking up, but in a weird way. But
it doesn't make sense. But at least we finally have a creature on the rampage with about 30 minutes left.
There's a real directorial problem with this scene and the one later on the ship, where basically the director gave all the extras and background people no direction. Because none of this makes sense. The creature breaks in. He looks horrifying.
Yeah.
And of course, people are stunned at first.
They
and
make
you do
a
have
point
a guy going
of like lighting him from underneath, so they can really be like,
of course, yeah. And of course, they, the guy asks him, and what are you doing here? And gets tossed out the window. But they have all these people who are like clutching together and just moving backwards and screaming, and you're like going, dudes, just go out the door.
Yeah.
They do eventually, like 8 minutes later, but you're like, why don't you just run out the fucking door now?
Right. Yeah.
And they don't. They all stand frozen.
There's just this kind of odd, like, creature, what do we do? Like,
yeah. And also I thought, okay, it is society, guys, but no one really jumps in to do anything.
We need is Tom Baker and his dual pistols that we get later.
Oh, dude, man, just for a half second.
For a half second, this was the greatest movie ever made.
Plus, I gotta say, Tom Baker looked great with the straggly hair and that beard. He looked
my
like
big
a great
note is why the sea captain isn't the hero of this story, because he's awesome.
Yeah, and he's Tom Baker.
And he's Tom Baker. With
that amazing Tom Baker voice.
Oh, well, he's in this movie for so little, but he has more gravitas than almost any of the other actors.
Word.
And
specifically our Dr. Frankenstein.
We are just 1 year out from him becoming the Doctor.
Oh, man,
1974 is when he takes over.
What a great step up for that man.
That's when shit gets good, man.
That's when he realizes his galactic destiny.
Yeah. Still, I believe, the longest serving tenure of a Doctor at 7 years.
Really?
Yeah, 7 seasons. No one else has done that many. And I don't think anybody else will. Nobody's going to stay on the show that long.
Well, their casting is now going much more stunt casty and getting names-ish. Yeah. So it's all people going, oh, this will be great. I've always wanted to be the Doctor for like 2 seasons before I get a movie.
Yeah.
Before I get a movie and I have to go.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I don't need to do this forever. Like, how many times can I fight the damn Cybermen?
So the creature breaks in. Everyone freaks out. He sees Prima. She sees him.
Yeah.
She, in her Agatha mind, must kind of recognize him because she freaks out a little. And he goes, Agatha. He calls her by that. Obviously not Prima.
This is the best scene in this movie. in either part. Is him rushing towards Jane Seymour. Yeah. And tearing her head off.
Hold on, you buried the lead. No,
did I?
Well, I mean, it's like he rushes toward her, and he's trying to just like commune with her, and she does start hissing like Elsa Lanchester.
Yeah, they've seen the Universal movies,
right? So she's like, "No, get off me!" And she's having some sort of flashback, and
he's
then
like, "Whatever, I just wanted the head anyway."
There are 2 great scenes in part 2.
Yeah.
This is the first.
Yeah.
And it's stunning, disturbing, and it's still directed terribly. Because there's so many things you could have done.
Poorly directed.
Yeah, there's so much you could have done with it.
Every shot choice is the most boring one.
But essentially, he grabs her, pulls her down kind of where she's kind of like kneeling or on the floor, and he's above her. And then he's got her head in his hands, and he does, as John says, he just rips her head off.
Yeah.
Because that is Agatha. That's the person he loves, and he knows that this is an abomination or whatever. He pulls her head off. That is stunning in this movie, and I kept thinking,
oh my god! When I watched it, it's not gory and it's mostly implied, but still watching it, I was like, Jesus, this just went to an 11 out of nowhere.
Yeah, I did think one of the directorial bad choices was she makes no noise during that. I expected her to be screaming or something until it stops, but instead it's just him just going.
I mean, come here. He's like trying to get the lid off a jar of pickles. Like,
now is when the crowd goes, oh, we can't take any more of that.
Jesus, okay, he's ripping heads, everybody, let's get out of here.
They run out of there, but Polidori doesn't run. You know what he does? He scrabbles on the ground to clasp her head.
No, my beautiful Prima. Why?
He grabs it like it's a soccer ball. Rolling around.
I never foresaw this going so wrong.
There's no gore on the floor either. I was like, come on, man. He pulled the head off of a
bummer. My bloodlust was not satiated by this.
And that's not me being I was just sitting there going, logically, in any kind of reality.
She bleeds. Do more grape jelly.
Yes, have purple blood on the ground. But anyway,
that.
Victor and Elizabeth.
That's gonna get you past standards, right? Let's spray it everywhere.
Elizabeth lost her shit, and Victor's like, oh god.
Yeah. So this is all bad, and then we cut to the next. I love the cut to the next day, and the cops are here. Like, it's the next morning. Yeah. Like, all right, then what happened? And it's John Gielgud.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the legendary John Gielgud
shows up for half a second.
The character doesn't even have a name. He's just Chief Constable.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Maybe he just knew people and was like, "Oh, I could do an afternoon. Whatever."
James, I just saw John Gielgud in the bar. Do you want him to be in this?
Here's what I'll do. Yeah. I will open this bottle of whiskey, and I will walk backward with it open. He will follow the scent right to the scent.
And he's floating on the air like somebody smelling a delicious pie in a cartoon.
This is how you catch a Gielgud.
Yes, there you go. That's the stuff. Good Gielgud, good.
This is how you know you're a fine British actor, is that you're an absolute bottom-of-the-barrel drunk.
I mean, yeah, at the time, they all were just total booze hounds.
Yeah, all of them were.
Which I just love. I just love that about this era of British actors. They're just roaring drunks, but they're brilliant actors.
That somehow are still amazing actors.
It was
still
like,
bring it.
Let's go get bombed and then do Henry V, you know? It's amazing to me. And they would still be great, but, you know, Richard Burton's tanked out of his mind.
Once more to the breach, dear. Oh, God.
Never mind. Shut it down.
That kidney pie's coming up. Oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, dear. Well, this is
so we do. We cut to the next day.
Gielgud's asking questions.
Yeah.
And Victor's like, fine, I confess, I made a monster. And I do love these very going like, whoa, all right, nobody's talking about monsters here.
Well, what's
all
great
we know is a lady got her head ripped off at a society ball.
What's great is that Gielgud says, Polidori is in our prison right now, and he's nuts. We're sending him to the asylum because he's talking about how he had created a living person out of dead bodies.
Right.
And he goes, and then Victor Frankenstein says, yeah, he's really upset and he's crazy. But here's the thing. It's my fault, and I created a living person out of dead bodies.
I'm like, what are you doing, Frankenstein?
Yeah, and the guy's like,
this is a great moment, though, for Elizabeth, where she's just like, come here, hey, I didn't take you aside for a second. My husband's not really all there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he's got delusions, and they're just like, well, the guy that Polidori is saying the same thing. It's like, I don't, that Polidori's, he's a kook, and my husband must have heard his kookiness and is having delusions of his own. And I guess this is good because we just cut from this to them on a boat.
We do a big jump here, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? Let's get away from all of this nonsense. We're gonna go. And he's like, that is a great idea. And I can tell you're slightly more pregnant because it's a bigger pillow.
Yeah. Honey, is that a couch cushion under there now? And so they're on a boat and they're like, well, good. We're getting away from England and all this nonsense. But what's this? Oh, I'm on the boat too, old boy.
This is where I'm just,
when this happened, I'm like, are you kidding? How?
Because I'm expecting the creature. There's always a showdown between the creature and Frankenstein.
I thought maybe Polidori could be done at losing Prima. That could have been the end of James
me too.
Mason.
But no, he shows up and he's like, you'll be rid of me as soon as we get to America.
Yeah.
But in the meantime...
just imagine what I can do in the States. Boy.
And they say, like, well, how did you get out of the thing? He goes, I'm a good actor.
Yeah.
It's basically,
he's just like, hey, the script told me to that's what happened. They need me in this. I don't know. It is just like they might as well have been just like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
It really is don't worry about it. Yeah.
I'm on the boat. That's what's happening.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker. I'm on a boat.
Everybody look at me because I'm sailing on a boat.
I'm on a goddamn boat. I fucked a mermaid. Sorry, I jumped ahead in the song.
With my flippy floppies.
You're straight flipping copies.
Yes. I should do enjoy the rhymes of the Lonely Island.
You know, I didn't expect to be doing...
Samberg. Love 'em.
I did not expect to do a Lonely Island riff. But I'll take it.
I enjoy the later years of SNL.
The digital shorts era, which goes against all of being live in the first place.
I love the Hader and the Samberg and Armisen. I'm a Forte guy myself.
I went out for the MacGruber movie. I didn't get a part.
Yes, this stupid Val Kilmer took my role in MacGruber.
And here's where, at hour 4 of this podcast, I want to issue an apology to our listeners. You have listened to us do 4 straight hours of James Mason, drunk James Mason, and I am.
By the way, sorry. I think we're just going to abandon the format of the show, and the rest of the show will just be Mason's thoughts on random things. Whatever happened to Quiznos?
You know, I'm going to be honest. I think the spork is underrated. It's a spoon. Look, it's a fork.
I understand my bias towards this, but I would listen to this podcast. Yes, just came from the theater. This Midsummer. It's quite a picture. Little weird for my taste, but strange.
Here's Mason's hot take. Listen, I don't want any turtles to ever suffer or choke on them, but I'll be damned if I'm giving up my straws. I like a plastic straw.
The paper straws, they get wet and lose their form too easily.
They get mushy before I finish my 32-ounce Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Dr. Pepper. Fun to say.
I get the extra big gulp at the 7-Eleven.
Who do you suppose that Dr. Pepper was? And what kind of vile experiments led up to the creation of that delicious soda?
By the way, James Mason only married twice. How is that possible? I feel like he would have been a guy who rang up like 6-7 marriages.
Oh, well, I think that was just his rep.
Yeah.
He was actually quite a homebody.
Yes. Still drunk, just in my home.
It's easier to do, and I don't have to worry about getting home afterwards.
Yes.
I'm already there.
If only Dick Burton could have shown my restraint.
There's not a flat surface in my home I have not woken upon.
Yes, it's the den again, dear. That's where I am this morning.
Oh, good Lord, I'm on the cross-cut saw. How did I?
Well,
that could have gone very bad.
let's just say I really lucked out tonight.
I love the idea that he's a Black & Decker workbench
for all my woodworking. I like
to
do
with
projects.
Scrimshaw, but then I just lost my mind.
I like to do projects around the house, renovate a bathroom or two. Oh, there we go. James Mason's HGTV home fix-up show. You're going to want to get a sturdy drywall in here.
You know what James Mason's least favorite part of building is? Drywall. Because if there's one thing I hate, it's anything dry.
Why, I'd prefer if I could somehow put up a wet wall to go with my wet bar.
For varnish, I just used my own spitum.
It's the dampest home renovation show on television.
There's so much chemical in my spitum. God. Cut this out, John. Cut the whole thing out. Oh my God.
So what are we entering about hour 6 of this episode?
Okay, they're on the boat.
We don't
Polidori just showed up. Said, yeah, guys, I'm on the boat. And they're like, well, fine, just stay away from us.
And he does make a great comment where he's like, well, yes, Elizabeth, for being a woman, you've gotten awfully far. Because that's the thing. If you as a woman could talk your way onto this boat, imagine what I could do with my man brain.
That's not an exaggeration.
That's basically a summation of what he says. Yeah. But what's this? Who's hiding amongst the crates on board? Why, it's the creature as well. Everyone's on this boat. Mason didn't bring the creature. The creature just also secretly got. They all knew which boat. They all knew how to get on it.
This is where I understand screenwriters. They'll do a lot of sleight of hand, and they'll come up with really thin excuses, hoping that the audience doesn't really pay too much attention. But this is just like this cascade of coincidences is ridiculous.
I was waiting for Jane Seymour to be alive again and on the boat. Like, let's just bring everybody's on the goddamn boat.
David McCallum, how did you get here?
Yes, I've been alive the whole time. And if you met my friend,
my brain. I want my brain back.
Have you met I'm here with my pal Robert Vaughn. He's in this.
Oh my God, it's a crossover with Man from Uncle.
Napoleon Solo is looking into this. I hear you want to take over the world.
I'm sorry, Napoleon Solo, still one of the best names ever.
Oh God, yeah. You know they started from that and worked backwards. And in fact, I believe they actually did, because that was an Ian Fleming creation, Napoleon Solo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because NBC hired him to create American James Bond, and basically all he gave us was the name Napoleon Solo. From what I gather, his ideas were didn't find their way too much into Man from U.N.C.L.E.
That's okay.
Yeah, but he did give us the name Napoleon Solo, which is great.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So Elizabeth is walking around the ship, and she sees the reflection of the creature in a mirror in James Mason's room, and she's like, well, I'll just quickly lock that door. There it is. He's trapped in there.
It's kind of, it's not like, wow, what an amazing idea. But
I just still, like, unlike other Frankenstein, Elizabeth is doing stuff in this.
He's doing stuff, and I did kind of like she sees him and he doesn't see her, and she's like, perfect. Back out slowly. Back out slowly. Take the key
and lock it. Like, it just all of a sudden.
Lock it.
Yeah.
And then Polidori is like literally right there going, excuse me, can I get in my room? She's like,
oh, I just noticed you hadn't locked your door, so I locked it for you. He's like, oh, I've stowed all my valuables elsewhere.
Yeah.
So don't worry. And she's like, yes, in fact, I like the dawning of this, where she's like, yes, by all means, go in your room. Yes.
She lets him in his room with the creature. Locks the door.
Locks the door, and then basically goes back to Victor and goes, yeah, that problem's going to sort itself out.
It is kind of baller, because she just goes, done and done.
Yeah. Polidori's going to get murdered by the creature, so that's all good.
You don't like him, do you?
Yeah.
Come on. You're such a softy.
And so yeah, the creature confronts James Mason, who's just like, oh dear, yes, well, creature, it was all fun and games with the acid and the fire, right? We're pals again. And then, of course, Victor's like, will you let him out of there? That's not okay to just let him be murdered, which I'm like, shut the fuck up, Frankenstein.
I know.
Let Elizabeth...
Victor.
You also, this is not even... You're not murdering him. You're just letting it happen. But he goes in there, and when they open the door, he is pulled off the fake hands. Apollodori is where he's gotten to in his murdering of this guy. He was savoring this moment.
Yeah.
And then everybody makes their way up to the deck of this boat.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, I feel a denouement coming, so...
Yeah,
they all go
the motivation for them all to go up to the deck of the ship seemed odd to me.
Well, they've also... coincidentally, entered a great storm at sea.
Yes. Perfect.
So that's when you definitely want
the climax of this thing.
Yeah, and that's when you definitely want to go up on deck, is when you're in the middle of a great storm.
As everybody's up on the deck, we finally meet the captain of this vessel, and...
Captain No Name.
Oh, and Brendan, as I did when Patrick Troughton was in one of the movies, I have Tom Baker here with me.
That is a great figure.
Yes, I do have.
You have the 10 Doctor set or the 12 Doctor set.
I have. Yeah, I think I bought 11 Doctors, and I've subsequently bought the other 2 Doctors individually. But I did.
What's the maker of this line?
This is from Titan Figures.
Those are nice.
Those are nice. These are very nice. Yes, I have the. He's got the full scarf down to his feet.
He does.
He's got
the sonic screwdriver.
Yes.
Yep.
I do have figures of all the Doctors. And yes, ladies, I am single. That's right. You get me and a 6-inch version of every Doctor. Please contain yourself.
With 12 Doctors, you get egg roll.
Yeah.
So
I kind of hope Jodie Whittaker, even though she announced she's leaving next season, stays on forever, because my shelf has no more room for them. I've hit the end with my Jodie Whittaker figure, so I don't know what I'm going to do for the next Doctor.
I don't know either.
I'll have to start a second shelf with one Doctor.
Can I just say that my prayers go towards you and your family in this time of need.
It's a very tough time for me. So anyway, in comes Tom Baker, who rules with the 5 lines that he has.
Absolutely.
We love the man, and he's amazing. And yes, at one point, he pulls out 2 guns, and I was like, oh, I'm ready to go for another hour if this is where we're going.
But before we get that, we get this is
where it's just, this is so silly and dumb, and
this is so silly and dumb. And also, this is another thing where it's the director said, hey, guys on the ship, just run around. Like, they have no direction or
Tom
focus.
Baker is the only one of them who talks. It's him and his crew members.
And what they're essentially, okay, you would think that the crew are going to be worried about, look, we have to take care of the sails and whatever because the storm is here.
Though.
Instead, they're just watching the spat between these people, including a really messed up looking dude who's probably got an illness. But
I do love Tom Baker and all these guys just going, hang on, what's happening over there?
Yeah, what's this all about?
Let's see how this plays out, gentlemen.
And this is where we get to my second favorite, the best scene of the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Have Polidori. You would think he's really scared of the creature. Instead, it's the lightning in the storm.
The lightning, it scares me. It terrifies me.
Great actor James Mason is reduced to, in this scene, they just said, keep repeating this, and he just keeps going, no, the lightning. I'm afraid. Oh, the lightning. I'm afraid. And then
is this really all you want me to say in the scene? Okay, I'll do it. I will do it. But
without anyone stepping in, including sailors or Frankenstein, you have the creature grab him up. The old man drags him over to the middle of the deck, gets the rope from the main mast, ties it around him, Polidori that is, and then hauls Polidori all the way up the mast to dangle while the sheets of rain are coming down. And Tom Baker's like going, what is this? What the fuck?
What am I looking at here?
And Elizabeth is like going, let them kill each other. And Frankenstein's like, I'm just watching, man. I'm just watching. You should get below deck because you're pregnant. But then the creature is like, creature is laughing. He's loving all this. He's like, ha.
Yeah.
And then the creature climbs up the mast. And because he wants to be right up in Polidori's face as the poor old man is going, poor old man, he is evil, but still he's like going,
he has been nothing but incredibly evil from start to finish.
Like, but he's sitting there going, oh, I'm just so afraid, let me down, oh, the lightning. And then, wouldn't you know it, somehow the
do you have no other lines, just more about the lightning? Okay, I can do that, yes.
Then the lightning strikes.
Yep.
Polidori, specifically.
Ooh, that lightning hurts.
And immediately is left as a dangling charred skeleton. And I started laughing so hard.
They've got me. Look at me now, a blackened skeleton.
Like in a cartoon, what happens when you get struck by lightning.
It looks an awful lot like that guy who the Joker burns in Batman 89.
Okay, guys, I just need to say, if you get struck by lightning, and that's terrible, it might in fact kill you, and it might actually set your clothes on fire. You will
not leave merely a charred skeleton behind.
It does not. It's not a disintegrator ray. So I had to stop it because I just couldn't believe how goofy. Yeah. It's like a cartoon. And the creature is
and once
not
again,
damaged.
This was meant to be the classy, highbrow version of Frankenstein, not like the stupid Dan Curtis one.
The creature just starts laughing again.
The Dan Curtis one will be stupid, but it won't have anything as dumb as this. I bet.
I don't know, man. Hang in there.
We do have Bo Svensson joining us next week, so
we do, and I invite him over every week. But I'm glad he's finally taking me up on the offer.
Is he still alive?
I don't know about Bo Svensson.
Let's see. Yes, he's 80 years old and he's still with us.
God bless you, Bo.
Yeah. Let's try to get him on the show. I bet. I'll just say this. I bet it wouldn't be impossible to get him on the show. I feel like he's a reachable get for us.
I still think you should try for Jane.
Well, yeah, especially because.
Will we be covering anything else she ever did? No, probably not.
I don't think so. But also, no ring, as we established. So.
I know. Look, I'm just looking towards finally being husband number 5. Anyway, so this scene is
gonna stick.
This scene is so stupid.
She's married podcaster Brendan Jones.
This scene is so stupid. It did jump up to. I have two. One scene is actually somewhat effective and creepy. The closest we got to genuine horror, and this is the flip side where it is so funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is sillier than a lot of the stuff we talked about in Hammer.
Yeah, it is. But the creature laughs again, and then you do get one of the sailors, not the captain, but one of the sailors says he can call the lightning down. He can draw it to himself.
Yeah,
and that's a line that someone put in just to explain how unlikely it is that you send someone up a mast who's afraid of lightning and within a couple of minutes, not even a couple minutes, a minute, gets struck by lightning. And then there are no other lightning strikes in the area.
Right.
You're like, okay, all right, whatever. So they go down and how did they end up back downstairs? They end up back in the cabin, and it's a confrontation between Frankenstein.
Let me see what I wrote down here. They kill the lightning strikes. Mason. They bring because Victor is unconscious, so they bring him down.
Right.
That's it. Because Victor stupidly climbed up there after them.
That's right.
Because that's another one where Elizabeth's like, "Don't bother. They just let him die." Jesus.
Elizabeth's always right.
Yeah.
But
then the TARDIS materials. No, sorry, that's the wrong Tom.
Victor falls and does knock himself out, so they take him downstairs.
They bring him downstairs.
The creature follows.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's looking to kill them, but he does go into the room, and so the sailors are like, "We have to destroy that monster."
Yeah, says Tom Baker to his men who don't make a move, and this is the most badass moment because he's like, "All right, well, if you gentlemen won't do anything about it."
Yeah,
and
it's pretty great.
Out of his belt comes dual pistols, and I'm like, "You kill that son of a bitch, Tom Baker." I want Tom Baker Monster Hunter.
He's got like 4 guys behind him of his crew, and he goes, with all of us together, he wouldn't stand a chance against all of us. He's very strong, but
and these guys are like,
And then they're all like, look at him like, we're not doing it. He's like, he goes, you sicken me or something like that. He goes, you weaklings. And he goes, fine, I'll do it. And pulls out a couple of cutlasses.
No, not cutlasses, flintlocks.
That's right, flintlock. Sorry, got my old terminology.
Him with dual swords would have been cool as hell too.
Would have been also cool.
Actually, it might have been more effective if he had just sliced the thing's head off.
True.
Yeah.
But instead, he kicks the door open.
And even though it was previously established that guns do nothing, I wanted Tom Baker to just blow this guy away.
I do like that. It's pretty blunt. The creature just turns around, looks at him, and Tom Baker doesn't say any line. He just goes blam.
Bam!
Both guns.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
And
Creature's all right.
And then Tom Baker's just like, well, that didn't work. All right, bye. He just backs out of there like, well, tried. See you later.
So essentially,
and then this is his move to go, all right, get those lifeboats going. We're getting out of here.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that he basically sees, like, I can't kill that creature. I've seen it do some damage, so I'm going to give it my entire ship. I'm just leaving with my men on the lifeboats. And then he has a line when they're cutting the boats or they're about to leave. He's like, somebody made it to England. I can do the same. And it was all stormy. I couldn't make out what he was saying. Like, other sailor.
Unfortunately lose a lot of Tom Baker dialogue to storm sounds here.
He's like, somebody made it to England in a lifeboat. I can do the same. And
still get that amazing regal tone in his voice, though.
That voice, man.
Oh my God, the voice. And I will say, I do love that to this day he still does Doctor Who audio dramas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he's still doing them.
I just love the fact that he was able to turn that amazing voice to the narrator of Little Britain, where that is unbelievable.
That is great.
That performance is unbelievable.
He also does a voice on Star Wars Rebels.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in a number of episodes of that. He does a lot of voice work. His primary gigs these days are doing voices and animated
I just
stuff.
want him to be comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my heroes.
Oh, and mine as well, man. I mean, he's not my favorite Doctor personally, but he is the most iconic Doctor. He is the image I think of when I think of Doctor Who.
He is my favorite Doctor, but I get it.
Get it. I'm a David Tennant guy.
I love David Tennant. He's my second favorite Doctor.
Yeah.
Matt Smith, third favorite Doctor.
Yeah, I still might go Matt Smith second, and then Tom Baker. But we're talking very minute levels though between these things. I mean, Matt. Here's the thing I've always said about Matt Smith. Matt Smith, who is great, obviously in the part, but also had probably the best writing ever for the show.
It's very true.
That's where like having those Moffat scripts really sends him into another stratosphere to me. That writing was just astounding. And Eccleston's fine. Eccleston is actually doing audio dramas now, which is crazy because he said he would, he actually is playing the Ninth Doctor and stuff again.
Oh, that's really weird.
I don't see him in as much stuff. I don't know if that's good money. And he started.
Well, I know they're doing a spin-off TV series for Malekith, so I think that'll be great.
He's not taking Marvel's calls after that. I don't think. I think it was pretty clear he was not thrilled with how that turned out.
It's a shame too. Great actor.
It is,
and actually a good character in the comics. But
also, I remember when they cast him and they said he was playing Malekith. I'm like, ooh, that'll be good.
Yeah.
No.
Well, all right. We need to get back to Frankenstein.
Yeah. We're almost at the end of this thing, for the love of God. So the
crew gets away.
The crew takes off in their boats, and then we just get Michael Sarrazin crazily operating the wheel of this ship.
Right. What he does is he fixes it for north.
Yeah.
And ties the wheel so it will continue in that direction.
I will say
that's not how ships work, but still, it's like, all right, that's.
At this point, I'm like, I bet they're gonna go somewhere icy. Mm-hmm, I had a feeling that was where this was going.
That was a very good guess. But anyway, he goes downstairs.
And Elizabeth confronts him. There's so many
Elizabeth has been looking after her unconscious Victor, and Elizabeth stands up to the creature, and you know what the creature does?
Strangles her to death.
Strangles a pregnant woman to death.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck.
I didn't
this
like
movie.
This.
No, I didn't either, but the movie came to play. They weren't dancing around it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is pretty horrifying, but I was just like, wow, okay.
And
Once again,
then we
like,
time jump to Victor waking up, finally. I guess
Victor
it's
waking
been
up,
weeks.
and
was he in a coma?
we're in the icy waters, and
Yeah,
the
we're
boat is
somewhere in the
completely frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Elizabeth? Hello? Anyone?
This is what I think is hilarious, okay? He wakes up, he calls out her name.
Yeah.
He's still below decks.
I
He's
was
calling out her name
expecting
below
him to
decks.
find her dead body in that room where she was strangled to death. No,
Yeah.
No, she's not there.
He gets up to the deck. All right,
this
so
is dumb.
first things
This
first.
is dumb,
first things
man.
first. The deck is completely icebound and covered in snow. They're clearly in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
But he's still I'm not saying he would not continue looking for Elizabeth.
Right.
But this is maybe the bigger concern immediately. But instead he's not even noting it. He just gets up there and still going, Elizabeth? Elizabeth, do you happen to be here amongst the ice and snow? And she is. He does find her. She's just propped up, frozen stiff.
Are you here in the land of the ice and snow?
Yeah, it becomes the immigrant song, and then he looks across the ice floe.
To be fair, the creature did drive the ship to new lands.
He did, but then for some reason, like, well, I can't wait on Victor to show up, so I'm just gonna walk.
Yeah.
As Victor looks out across the ice floe, and there's a little dot that's badly chroma keyed in.
Yeah, and we get our final confrontation between creature and creator. I guess it's okay. We get when will I stop pain for creating you? When will my suffering be over?
Victor follows the creature.
This guy stinks, man.
And the creature
stunk as Romeo too, honestly.
Oh, he was fine for a 17-year-old. I mean, he literally was 17.
I know, but I always thought he was dull in that. Olivia Hussey, I thought, was better. And look,
Olivia Hussey.
Well, sure. But also, I think Michael York rules in that movie as Tybalt.
He's great.
Yeah.
As Fiery Tybalt.
Oh, he's so good, and he's just smoking him in scenes. You know.
Who played Mercutio? Because he was also good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were good in that. Let me see who did that.
And it is a beautiful film.
Oh,
it is
sure.
a beautiful.
Zeffirelli obviously knew exactly what he was doing there.
Yeah.
It's a little long and a little boring in places, but John McEnery played.
Okay, it actually doesn't spur the memory, but I remember him as being good.
Yeah, a guy who was in a lot of stuff, basically a British character actor.
You know who else is in a lot of stuff? Your cat Columbo, who just
he is getting so impatient for food right now, so he is really making himself known.
All right.
Normally he sleeps through podcast, but right now he wants his food. But we get this whole thing.
They're in an ice cave, and they have this final face-to-face. And what I'm saying is, unlike most of the adaptations, this creature at no point is really ever angry with Victor.
Yeah, because
he's disappointed in him or whatever.
He's like, hey, Victor.
Yeah, he's kind of like, oh, Victor, good to see you, man. I'm glad you're up and around.
Yeah.
But it is Victor Frankenstein's big moment of like, he goes, I don't even hate you for what you've done. He goes, it's all my fault. Yeah. I'm so sorry. You've led a tortured existence.
And then, forgive me!
Yeah, man,
loud
he just
enough
shorted
that
out
it starts an avalanche.
Yeah, the thing is that there were a couple emotional pitches during his thing where his voice would echo and you'd hear a little bit of a rumble. Mm-hmm. And it's clear from the first when you're like, oh, there's going to be an avalanche. So yes, at the very end, he shouts, forgive me, which causes the avalanche. And the creature actually is smiling and laughing like, that's a great idea, Victor. We'll die together. And they kind of hug and ice comes down.
Yeah,
they also
really
kiss. The kiss was a little jarring, but
yeah. And then they started to unbuckle their pants, but then the snow hit them, and it was like, damn, it made it all the more punishing. Now,
how much of this do we show? Yeah. Should we keep going, or should the snow come down?
I heard Saracen shot full frontal, but they didn't use it.
And then we get the end. We made it to the end.
By the way, the Christopher Isherwood script went further than this, and there was an epilogue that was cut.
The creature rises from the ice.
It cuts to the season has changed and it's warming, and we see the ice start to melt, and just the creature's hand moves out from and breaks through the ice, and it would have ended there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm all right with that.
I mean, that's a very horror movie ending. I don't know, honestly, I don't know why this didn't use that.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have actually made it better or worse.
Yeah. So the big things that the Wikipedia says that are different in the issue there was the prologue we talked about that had Mary Shelley and Lord Byron and stuff like it, and then there was that epilogue.
Right.
As the ice melts, one of his hands is exposed, absorbing the rays of sun. The hand responds flower-like and slowly begins to open, is what the last line of the script is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We made
it. They were setting up a sequel.
The thing that I liked about
Bride of Frankenstein, the true story.
At the end of the day, the thing that I really am happy, the reason we watched this is now that we know the true story, we no longer have to watch any other Frankenstein origin film.
Oh, well, wait a minute. That's interesting because next week on the schedule
what
is Dan Curtis's Frankenstein. So we learned the true story. Now we're going to get Dan Curtis's take on the story.
So in other words, fake news? We're getting some fake Frankenstein news?
Fake news. Yes, next week is a very interesting we're getting Frankenstein written by Dan Curtis. Now, this one is a movie, but it was shown over 2 nights as part of ABC's Wide World of Mystery.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, Wide World of Mystery is, I think, where they put Kolchak as well.
I believe you're correct on that. I think Dan Curtis did a number of things for it, is what we're learning here.
Yeah, they didn't have any, like, anthology carousel show for horror, so they stuck the horror stuff in mystery. Okay, whatever.
Here's a weird thing. It premiered the same night as The Night Strangler. So literally, part 1 was on, and then after part 1 of Dan Curtis's Frankenstein, The Night Strangler aired.
Wow.
Yeah, that was some night on television.
I think baby Brendan must have been crapping his pants.
Oh my God, it's Frankenstein and Kolchak.
Wait, I was 4 years old. I hope I wasn't still crapping my pants at 4.
Well, when you have the epic twofer of Frankenstein and then
you're
Kolchak,
right. All bets are off.
32-year-old me is crapping my pants.
Oh my God!
So next week we get Robert Foxworth as Dr. Frankenstein and Bo Svensson as the creature.
Yeah.
And Susan Strasberg as Elizabeth.
Susan Strasberg. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, what? We're going to get a spectacle next week. And as I said, this comes out to a 2-hour runtime, the 2 parts together. So we will just be doing 1 episode about it. And
all right,
it's available as a singular movie is how it's been released ever since. So
I think I already have it downloaded somewhere.
Yeah. So next week it's Dan Curtis's Frankenstein. As we continue, because then we're doing Blackenstein the week after, so it's never-ending Frankenstein movies for us.
This is Frankentimber. That's what we've called this month. Hope you guys are enjoying Frankentimber. And I know, I know this comes out.
Who knows?
This comes out 6 months from now.
Yeah. Who knows when this is coming out? Because we're recording so far in advance. But
that's all right.
That's the fun of the show. Anyway, that is gonna wrap things up for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
True story.